So you'll have remembered, Marie, that you watched a video around passengers on the bus.
Yes.
In one of the earlier sessions, and how in that video we were thinking about how our thoughts, feelings, sensations, urges and memories can be a bit like passengers that perhaps get in the way of us doing the things that are really important to us. So one way our passengers can make it really difficult for us to go in our valued direction, and one of the ways that they get in the way of us is actually through interfering really with how we communicate when we're struggling with persistent symptoms. So some people find that there's significant changes happen in a person's life when they've got this health problem, and it can make it really hard for them to communicate in ways that they would like to. And there's kind of two main ways really that our passengers get in the way of our communication. And one of those ways is often we can become quite passive. And what I mean by that is we can end up kind of just going along with things, agreeing to do things that actually we really perhaps don't really want to do, but we struggle to say no to. So somebody might make a request, "Oh Marie, could you pick the grandchildren up from school?" And you automatically say, "Oh yeah, that's fine, that's fine." But sometimes that can actually mean that you're putting other people first, and actually yourself and your symptoms are coming second to that, and that can come at a cost. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, and it's often people say yes because they're trying to avoid a horrible feeling of guilt. So often when we say no, we can't do something, we then experience a guilty feeling, and nobody likes to feel that guilty feeling. So we go, yeah, that's fine. I'll do that. Yeah. But actually, if you're not expressing your own thoughts and feelings around what might be difficult for you, you get pulled into doing more and more for others, which actually has a negative effect on your symptoms. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there are consequences to that, aren't there?
There are consequences, yeah. Now, almost the opposite to being passive in your communication is actually becoming aggressive and getting caught up in thoughts that things are unfair, that you shouldn't have to do certain things, or that other people don't understand, and that can lead you to feel quite angry and frustrated. And when you're expressing your thoughts and feelings in an angry or frustrated way, you may come across as quite snappy or shouting at other people.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. And of course, when you're feeling angry and snappy with others, that creates tension in your body. And as we've talked about in previous videos, that tension and stress in your body can aggravate your symptoms. So it's a bit of a balancing act really, and what we like to try and do is help people to look at where that middle ground is. And the middle ground is trying to be a little bit more assertive with your communication. So this is where you're able to express your own thoughts and feelings and what you need in a respectful way, listening to the other person and responding calmly and confidently. So it might be that if somebody asks you to collect the grandchildren from school and you're having a particularly bad day, a more assertive way to manage that might be to say something like, I'd really like to be able to do that, but today I really can't. Or give me 5 minutes to think about that and I'll get back to you before answering straight away. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see how that might make a difference.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess in summary, when we're thinking about communication styles, there are 3 different styles. There's 2 that are difficult for us, and that's those pesky passengers getting in the way.
And we can sometimes do both of those, can't we?
Yes, absolutely. We can flip between the 2. Sometimes we can be passive, sometimes we can be a bit more aggressive in our communication. And it's trying to strike that balance, because that's probably what's going to help you best. Okay. So we'll maybe move on and think about planning some of this out together.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to move into the role as your patient.
Okay.
So that's all right.
Okay. So we're just going to do a little bit of a role play then, just around what one of these scenarios might look like. And we tend to find, don't we, that with the clients that we work with, it's a lot of the time it's the same types of issues that are the sticky bits. It's maybe somebody asking you for help with something when your symptoms are particularly bad and you're just really, really not feeling up to it, which can leave you obviously feeling quite resentful that maybe nobody has noticed, or feeling that actually people are expecting an awful lot of you that you just don't feel able to give, and obviously that's a really horrible feeling. Or, as you said, that tendency to always say yes to things, you can end up maybe taking on a lot more responsibilities, maybe volunteer things, childcare for friends and family, whatever it is. You can suddenly end up feeling that actually you've overloaded your whole diary, and that's nobody else. You feel that maybe that's nobody else's fault, and therefore you shouldn't be feeling the way that you are about it. And it can be very hard to say no to something that's been going on for a long time, can't it? So if we just have a bit of a think about what that might look like. And we thought before about how we just maybe step back and we just sort of break down what's going on, just think about maybe the thoughts and the feelings and the behaviours that are going on there. So just as a bit of shorthand, we'll do thoughts, feelings, physical sensations as well that we discover, and then maybe any behaviours.
Okay.
So Ria, you were going to tell me a little bit more about a situation that was difficult for you this week.
Yeah, I was in quite a bit of flare-up with my symptoms.
Okay.
On Monday night, I think it was.
Okay. Is it okay if I just draw some of the signs?
Yeah.
So symptoms increased.
Yeah. I was. My body was in flare-up really, and I just didn't feel up to getting on with the things that needed to be done.
Okay. Okay. So maybe you thought of, I'm not up to this.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't up to it.
Okay. And what was that like for you then?
I was kind of feeling a bit under pressure because what I needed to get done, I needed to get the stuff in the washing machine for the kids' uniforms for school, and I'd also agreed to cook a meal for the family, and my parents were going to come round and join us. And I had thought that I would be able to do it, but that particular day I was just in flare-up and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. So were you able to attempt some of it, or were your symptoms just too bad?
No, they were just too bad, so I took myself off up to bed.
Okay.
But then I was starting to feel quite frustrated because nobody else in the family was offering to help.
Right, so nobody else had really stepped up then to do any of that.
No, so I was feeling really
depressing,
frustrated, yeah. And then I was thinking, well, why can't other people see that this is a problem?
Yeah.
And why is nobody offering to help?
Yeah. Just to let me catch up a little bit there, these thoughts around why can't people see, why aren't people helping? And just a little bit earlier, you mentioned that almost that you should have been able to do this. You were expecting that you could.
Yeah.
I should have been able to. And I'm sure that's frustrating as well.
Yeah. Then I started feeling guilty because I couldn't do it and nobody else was offering to help.
Yeah. And so did your symptoms remain quite bad then for the evening?
They just went on and on and on. I just stayed out of the way of everybody.
Yeah. Were you able to do anything to relieve this?
Well, I took a hot water bottle up to bed with me and I put some of my music on, but I was just feeling frustrated really and pissed off that nobody was helping.
Yeah. That sounds like a very difficult evening then, doesn't it? What happened after that then? Maybe when you spoke to your family next? Was it mentioned again by you or by them?
Well, I did say I did feel a bit better the next day, and I did say, you know, I was struggling yesterday and nobody offered to help.
Okay.
And they just said they didn't know, but I don't know how they didn't know, because I thought it would have been clear.
Okay. So when you told people the next day and you got that response, then it sounds like that wasn't particularly helpful for you.
No.
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 What happened to these feelings? Were they the same?
They probably weren't as bad. Yeah, they probably weren't as bad once I'd told them.
Okay.
But I still couldn't understand. Still kind of was feeling a bit frustrated. Cause I thought, well, why couldn't they see that I was in pain and not able to do it? Why didn't they offer to help?
Yeah. Yeah, so still very much in the cycle, maybe a bit reduced as time went on and moved away from it a little bit, but essentially some of the same stuff going on there, isn't it? So that was what, last Monday you said, so with a little bit of time away from that, if you could kind of step back and just have a look at this together, do you think there's anything that could have been different?
Well,
I know we've talked about it, haven't we, the stuff that you have control over and the stuff that you don't.
I think thinking about it now, and thinking about the information that I've read around the communication styles, maybe I was expecting a bit too much of them, because I didn't tell them I was struggling. I just went to bed and expected them to know. So maybe if I'd told them.
Yeah. And you did, didn't you? You were able to tell people the next day, but I'm wondering whether that could have maybe happened a little bit earlier and whether that might have changed a bit of the outcome.
Yeah, or maybe I could have said, you know, I'm struggling, I'm going up to bed for a few hours, you know, please could you...
Maybe so. So that's what you could have done.
Yeah, maybe could have asked them, explicitly to help out. But then part of me thinks that I should still have.
I know. But we'll come back to that now, I think, because that's really useful. But you'd mentioned something else that I think was a really good idea there, that idea of maybe telling people a little bit earlier in the evening that actually you were going to go and have a rest, rather than maybe struggling on to the point where you couldn't do what you wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, and that fits in with the idea of pacing, doesn't it?
Because it sounds like, I think, even for somebody who didn't have a lot of chronic health conditions, that sounds like a very busy evening, a lot of things to juggle. And maybe an expectation, maybe from yourself or from other people, that you would be the one to handle it, that you've got it.
Yeah.
So there's a question around, maybe I was expecting too much there. But also that feeling that you'd noted that actually people still could have stepped up a little bit or maybe offered help.
Yeah, but I guess, looking at it now, if I didn't tell them, I guess they weren't to know.
And I know we talked about the unhelpful thinking styles before, and I think some of that might be coming into play here a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's often not just this one instance that we're talking about, it's quite often the way things are.
Yeah.
And that makes it quite hard for other people to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's something you might be able to do if a situation like that arises again?
I think so. I think really looking at it now, I think what I could have done was I could have asked for help I could have rested earlier and said, I'm going to go and take a few hours. I need some help with this. Please, can you do? Put the washing machine on, or please, can you get the veggies ready? And then I can come down later and enjoy the evening.
So if that had been the case, or next time when you try this out, you might be able to enjoy yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, because then I wouldn't be feeling pressured, because I would have shared some of the jobs out. And I think, looking at that question, why can't people see, why aren't people helping? Well, they can't see if I've gone to bed, and they can't help if I've not asked them.
So, even though you're having a flare-up, and I know we've talked about the fact that it can't always directly address what's going on there, but if we change some of the other stuff that's going on, it might have a bit of an impact on what the experience of your symptoms are. So if next time, for example, if you were able to identify perhaps that actually this was going to be a really, really difficult evening, and it was maybe something that you were going to need help with, and you were going to need to maybe get some rest periods in, practice your pacing and all of that stuff that you know about. What might have happened here, do you think?
I probably wouldn't have stayed in flare-up for as long as I did. The symptoms would still be there, but I think if I'd rested, at least I would still have been able to come back and enjoy the evening with the family.
Yeah.
So I think I probably would have...
So more rested.
Yeah.
Which would make the rest of it easier to bear, wouldn't it? So it sounds like you've got some really good ideas there, and I think what's really nice is you come up with some lovely assertive statements about how you could start to express how you feel to people.
I think it'll be hard.
Oh yeah. And that goes back to the thinking styles again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's very hard to change the way that we've always done things. That's going to feel right. But we've also talked about the fact that actually making some of these changes, it's an experiment. So the next time something comes up, it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be completely different, but it would be useful to maybe try something a little bit different, and then we can have a think and see what's happened as a result of that. Whether that's helpful or whether it's not. Okay. So you'd come up, I think we'll finish the role play bit there, but I think what Ria had come up with was just some really nice assertive statements, such as being really clear about how you were feeling, saying to people, actually, I'm having a bit of a flare-up, but I'm not really feeling up to this, and I am going to just take myself upstairs for a rest, so can you please do X, Y and Z, and really setting out those clear expectations for people. So you've been really clear about how you're feeling, about what you need from other people, and you've expressed that. Yeah. So there are some other tips just on ways that you can communicate assertively with people, just under assertiveness techniques in the workbooks that we've all got here, and just got some really nice ideas like I messages, like as you said, I am feeling, rather than you're not helping me, nobody is doing anything, why is nobody stepping up? It was very much I don't feel up to this, I'm going to do this. So again, depending on the scenario, there's some other lovely tips there. There's kind of broken record, just being really clear, really persistent, not getting pulled into an argument or a discussion or a negotiation of what's going on. Fact, feel, want, again, is very much what you've just modelled for us there, just saying what's going on, how you feel about it and what you need from somebody else. And then, again, within relationships where it's important, I suppose where it's important to feel that you're on the same page and that you really understand each other. That last tip from me to you is just a really nice way of sitting down and thinking about actually where the other person's coming from. Being really assertive about your own needs, but also really seeking to understand what somebody else's perception of the situation is. Maybe just coming to that shared understanding. So it would be really useful then, before your next call with your practitioner, to maybe sit down, have a look through these pages in the workbook, have a think about what areas in your life tend to be particularly difficult, or where some of these issues around communication arise, and then just have a talk through that. Okay, thank you.